Safe and sound at home again. Let the waters roar, Jack. Safe and sound at home again. Let the waters roar, Jack. Long we've tossed on the rolling main. Now we're safe ashore, Jack. Don't forget your old shipmate. Folly, rolly, 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 rido.
Today we're here at the Beechwood Museum for Appraisal Weekend. Mark DiGiacomo will be interviewing different people with their antiques and appraisers to see what exactly everything's worth. So let's get on in there.
All right, Joy, tell us a little about what's going on today up at the Beechwood Museum.
Sure, Mark. So we're having an appraisal day. We have 4 ladies who are professional appraisers. They came up from Manhattan, and they are here to talk to people about the treasures that they've had around their homes that they've always wondered what they're worth, to give them an opinion of value, maybe give them a little bit more information than they had before.
Excellent. Is this the first time the Historical Society has put this on?
Yes, so we've had events like this in town done by other organizations, but it's been about 15 years. So we've thought that, people would, want to know, and it's been a while since they've had the opportunity to do this.
And it's a fundraiser for the Historical Society. Are appraisers here? Are they volunteering?
They are. So they volunteer their time. They could get business down the line from it, but really they're doing it as a fundraiser for the society. All the money's going to the society.
That's wonderful. And so we have 4 appraisers, and they each have their own area of expertise. Tell us a little about that.
So we have a woman whose expertise is furniture and decorative arts, and she's also a bit of a generalist. So if we have something that really stumps somebody, then she's probably our woman. We have a woman that does painting, mostly European 19th and 20th century paintings. We have a jewelry specialist, and then we also have an Asian art specialist who's a woman that grew up in town, so that's kind of fun as well. And this evening, Jen Ross from Art Paratus in Manhattan is going to be doing a lecture at the Historical Society about sort of fun appraising anecdotes. She's going to dispel some myths. She's going to do some quizzing, a little bit of a game about what's it worth, and tell some fun stories.
That's wonderful. Do we hope that this might be an annual event?
Well, I don't know. Maybe every once in a while, because a lot of the people that have questions are going to be here today. So.
Yeah. So maybe in a few years they see how it goes.
Save it up.
So while we're here, talk a little about the old Beechwood Congregational Church and what you guys at the Historical Society have transformed it into.
Yes, so we were given the opportunity to purchase this building about 2 years ago, and we have turned the basement into a police and fire museum. And if you get a chance to go down there, we have 2 gorgeous vintage hand tub pumpers that have been all restored at a place in Maine. They're lovely. They're actually going to come out and be on display next year for Cohasset's 250th anniversary, too. They're going to be in the parade, and we're going to have an old fireman's muster that they're going to be displayed at. They're not actually going to be used. But yeah, so we use the upstairs here for events and lectures and small weddings, and the actual sanctuary part is kind of fun for a lot of different things.
And when is it open? What are the hours?
So it's open by appointment, and you would have to ask Lynn about the actual hours. I'm sorry, I don't know that.
But call the Historical Society during regular business hours. You can make an appointment here.
We have a very easy phone number to remember if you're from Cohasset. It's 383-143-4.
There you go. And I can't let you go without asking you what the status is of the 250th birthday, since you're heading that up.
So we have a year of activities planned. It's not just a birthday, it's sort of a whole year cultural event. Specifically, the Historical Society is doing a great antique house tour, and we're creating a coffee table book of all the old homes in town. But do not make plans for the weekend of July 24th, 25th, and 26th, 2020, because that's when the party is. Parade, fireworks, Harbor Festival. Don't go away.
Sounds like fun. Thanks for all your work with that and with the Historical Society. All right, we're now with one of the 3 or 4 appraisers that's up here at the Beechwood Museum. And this one is a very special one because she actually grew up in Cohasset, grew up a few doors down from where I lived up on Fair Oaks Lane. Marley Rabstick. Marley, welcome back to town.
Thank you. It's a great pleasure to be here.
Now, Marley has gone on to do great things once leaving Cohasset. Tell us a little about your work background.
Well, currently I have my own business, and I'm located in New York, and I buy and sell Chinese art primarily. I do appraisal work in the Asian art field. And I've had my own business for, I think, about 15 years now. And so I'm an independent dealer, consultant, appraiser out of New York.
And previous to that, you worked at a couple well-known appraisal groups.
I worked at Christie's in New York. I worked for Phillips. I worked for Skinner in Boston. That was my first job. And prior to that, it was all education.
Great. So Asian art, that's your expertise.
Yeah, I deal in Asian art, so mostly Chinese because that's where the strong market is right now. So that's where I'm dealing primarily at the moment. I also have expertise in Japanese works of art and sort of a general knowledge in Indian and Southeast Asian works of art as well.
Other than that, well, that sounds terrific. And what about like Vietnam and those kind of areas? Is there much coming out of there?
Not too much, no. That's a sort of soft market, honestly. There's a lot of decorative type pieces that come out of the Vietnam area, but not particularly important antiques. Generally, the real high-level antiques are coming out of China and Japan at the moment.
Okay. And are those what most folks would think of from Ming Dynasty and that kind of thing?
Exactly. Yeah. Ming Dynasty, Qing Dynasty, going all the way back to, 12th, 13th century, and then on up to the 20th century.
Now, you've done things like this where folks just come in and bring their whatever they have kicking around their house?
Yeah, I did the very first Antiques Roadshow way back whenever it first started, and I was doing that show for a number of years. And yes, we do, these charity events are great because they, help raise money for the charity, and it kind of does a service for people to have us come in and look at these crazy antiques that they don't know about.
So what do you... Tell me about the thing that someone you brought in and said, I don't know what this is worth, that just anything that really like blew you away?
Occasionally something will come in that's a real showstopper. It's a numbers game. Most of the things we see are very decorative, pretty pieces. People picked them up when they were traveling or inherited them from relatives who were traveling. Occasionally, something will come in that is like a Chinese imperial type piece that might be in 6 figures, maybe 7 figures. That has happened, but it's rare.
Yeah. Well, who knows? Today may be the day here in Cohasset.
That's right.
Well, thanks so much for coming in and volunteering, and maybe we'll catch up with you a little later.
Great to be here.
We now have an interesting toy and very appropriate for the Halloween season. Sir, what's your name, please?
Bob Healy.
Okay, Bob. Bob, what have you brought in today?
That's an antique bank, Coffin Bank, and you put the coin there. Let's see.
Just in time for Halloween.
Yep.
Right.
And you go like this.
That's awesome. And how long have you had that, Bob?
I got it at a yard sale in New Hampshire about 5 years ago.
Interesting.
There's 1950 on it, so
So how much did you pay for it?
I think it was like $10.
Really?
That's a good price.
Oh, that's excellent. Well, let's see what Jen has to tell us about it.
So basically, I've been telling everyone the best place for you to do your quick research is to go to liveauctioneers.com. So that's the best place to go to find local auctions all over the country. Okay. They're happening now. Yeah. And then you can also, when you do your search, and I'm going to type in Coffin Bank and see what other ones have shown up. Okay. But it'll tell me what past ones have done. Okay. And then I sort it by the most recent, and that'll give me a sense of exactly what the market has done over the past since they started recording these in like 2002.
Okay.
So let's have a look. Let's see, Coffin Bank. Sometimes it's a matter of, trying different, so it didn't like the word Coffin Bank, so let me put that. Nope, all right. Yon, Japan. Oh, wait, there's one right there. Hold on a second. So, okay.
Here it is. Yep.
So one sold for $40 in 2018. Where's the dealer? AAA Auction Service. I don't know them, but they're in New Haven. Sometimes you want to check and see what the auction house is. Sometimes it's what do you call it? It's lost property auctions, and they don't have collectors that go there. So you want to kind of try and see what other pieces it sold at this auction. But their estimate, and they don't even give us what their estimate was there. So let me just try this, and wind up. Oh, okay, here was a couple more. So that was the one that sold for 40. Hey, it hasn't shown up a lot, which actually makes it a little rarer, and would potentially make it something that could sell better. They're ranging at about between the $40 to $60 range at auction, as well as online for private sellers on Etsy and eBay. The fact that this is in really very, very good condition. You've got the original box here that isn't beat up at all. I mean, you've got a little bit of creasing in the corner, but that's not bad at all. And he still works, which makes it even better. I mean, I think this is a fun little thing, and I think you should take it out every Halloween and pass it down to your kids and grandkids.
I actually brought it into the local bank one day and showed it to them, and they thought that was pretty cool. So.
Yeah, no, I love it.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah,
Well,
thank you.
Congratulations. Great.
Okay, now we're with one of our other appraisers up here, Sarah.
Ritchie. Hi.
Sarah, thanks so much for joining us. Sarah, where do you work out of?
I work out of the New York metro area. I'm actually a traveling appraiser. I go to the clients' homes, banks, security locations, review all their jewelry, go back to my office, parse the details, and create my report.
Wonderful. Well, what brought you to Cohasset?
Friends.
Good.
Friends. Happy to be here. It's beautiful.
Well, we appreciate you coming, especially on a beautiful fall day like this. So your specialty is jewelry.
All jewelry.
All right, and we have a piece right here. Tell us about it.
This is a wonderful diamond ring. It's 20th century, so it's about 20 years old. It's actually quite large. It's a 2-carat oval, high color, and the baguettes on the side are over 15 points apiece, so they're substantial also and very hard to find that size. The diamond is very well cut. It's set in platinum, and I think anybody would be happy to have it. It's small enough to wear to the grocery store and big enough to dazzle them at dinner.
There you go. All right. And so what kind of value would you put on this?
If I had to buy it, I would pay $35,000. At Tiffany's, it might be $60,000.
And you'd wear that to the grocery store?
Oh, heavens, yes. If somebody gave me this, I'd wear it everywhere.
Wow. Very interesting. Well, tell us a little about some of the other things that you've seen throughout your career. Did anyone ever bring in something that you just never seen before?
I just saw some fire agate earrings. Fire agate's an interesting stone. It's agate, so it has stripes, and the fire is a display of color for it. So that was beautiful, and that's just today. Other days I go through an estate and I find wonderful things. My life's goal is to find a red diamond. In the Smithsonian in Washington, there is a red diamond on display that a gemologist discovered in a hat pin at an estate, and I'd like to repeat that experience.
Now, is red diamond the rarest diamond?
It is. It is, and they're very small and they're very included, which means they have a lot of things in them because it's actually a structural anomaly, so things grow inside of it, and that's what causes the red color is actually a change in the diamond lattice structure.
So when you say red, is it red. It's
red.
really red. It's not like a
oh,
slight hue or something
No,
like that.
it's red like this necklace red.
I see.
It is
I see.
phenomenally maple tree red. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, again, thanks very much for coming down and helping out the Historical Society today, and we may be back.
I'd love to come back. Cohasset's magnificent.
Well, we think so too. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Okay, and for our next contestant, we have a very interesting painting here. First, start up. What is your name?
My name is Doreen Trahan.
Okay, Doreen, are you from Cohasset?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what have you brought today?
Well, I brought this. I think it's a painting. Somebody said it's a lithograph, but it's got like fabric around it too. I can tell, and there's a lot of writing, and it came from this. Also, some more writing in the back, but it's the Madonna, and so I've had it for about 35 years. And when my husband and I bought this old house in New Jersey, in Madison, New Jersey, this lovely woman that was leaving told me that I could have the painting because she knew I had a great faith, and I do love the Madonna. So anyway, I've had it over my bed, and for a long time I've just been wondering, this is pretty old, I'm sure, and because it has all the writing and it has more information on the back down here. The artist, and it came from
An art gallery.
an art gallery in New York City on Amsterdam's
Avenue. Yep.
And then there's a hand signature and everything. So I thought, when I saw this advertised, I thought, I'm going to do it. It's about time.
So are you hoping to find out a little the history, or are you looking for the big dollars?
Sure. I'd love to know some history, and I'd love to know how much it's worth, if it's, if I ever needed the money, like paying off college loans right now.
Yes, we know how that is.
So, and I'm retired, so I thought I'm just curious,
Well, that's great. Well, good luck with it, and hopefully you'll find out a lot of history and
that would be nice.
and hit the jackpot.
All right.
Thanks for joining us.
Okay.
S. Arlen Edwards. Okay. And that's his signature here, because that's an S. That must be Edwards, and this is his. Okay, so let's see.
Oh, this is so cool.
Yeah.
This is really cool.
Yeah, it's nice. Yes, I am banking that it's probably a British artist. Well, actually, now that I'm seeing it, they're seeing he mostly worked in mezzotent. He mostly worked in mezzotent.
I've never even
Mezzotent is a print.
Mezzotent.
It is a print, but he went over it with, I think, some pastels. However, he was more of a printer, or at least someone that did, prints and then had them made. But it fooled me as being, I thought it was a total pastel. He must have possibly went over it with some of his tools,
because
but
weight on it. You
yeah,
can see lines.
there is texture to it.
Yes,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. However, the dating of this for sure is in the middle of that range. Okay. So probably 1880s, 1890s, when there was this kind of craze.
All right, and now we have another contestant here. What's your name, please?
Anne-Marie Wilton.
And Anne-Marie, where do you live?
I live in Cohasset as well, on North
great.
Main.
Excellent. So what do you have?
I really don't know what I have, but I'm interested to find out. My grandmother, who passed away at 92, 15 years ago, gave this to me when I was visiting her in Ireland, and in Northern Ireland, in Derry. And she had it wrapped in tons and tons of pieces of newspaper and plastic bags. And when she gave it to me, she said, "This is incredibly valuable. Please do not drop it. Take excellent care of it." And it wasn't until I got home and I unwrapped it and I looked at it, I thought, it doesn't look valuable to me. It looks like something, I don't know, something, something from CVS or like the Five and Dime.
Any writing or anything on the bottom?
Yes, it is made in England, and she has a story that she wrote and put inside. And it was actually her grandmother's. So apparently it's my great-great-grandmother's teapot made in England. And the story that she puts inside of it is that it was very special to her grandmother, whose name was Annie Lynch. And Annie Lynch sort of forged the Protestant-Catholic divide in Northern Ireland by marrying someone outside of her religion. And she goes on to say that it caused some problems and that actually her brother was murdered. And there's just a whole sort of backstory hidden inside of here, along with 20 pounds. So that I could treat myself to ice cream, I think. So we'll find out.
Well, it's very, very, very interesting. A great story with it, too. So no matter what it's truly worth, I'm going to hit you and it's going to break.
So how did this come in your family, or did you buy an antique shop, or?
No, so my grandmother gave this to me. She's since passed away, so she would be 100 or so if she was alive. But when she handed it to me, she told me it was one of the most valuable things in the family.
Okay.
And I'm not sure. This occurred in Derry in Northern Ireland.
Okay.
And she actually said it was her great-grandmother's.
Okay.
So she said it was her grandmother. So it's my great-great-grandmother, I think.
Okay.
Annie Lynch.
Okay.
And I don't know much more about it.
And when you say Annie Lynch, she owned it, or did she make it?
She owned it.
So, because I was going to say, I'm wondering if she was involved at all in the decoration of it. So this is I'm glad to hear that it was in England or Ireland that you got it, because we don't see that many of these in the U.S. It's kind of like it's not a Clarice Cliff piece, but Clarice Cliff is very popular 1920s, ceramicist that is in England in the past 15, 20 years had a huge revival. It's calmed down since then, but it's made other pieces that are Clarice Cliff-like that have these primary colors decorated on.
Yeah, that seems
yes. So this is stylistically the teapot is. I would say this is probably the 1930s. I wouldn't have said it was much older than that.
Okay.
And because it's very unusual to have a teapot and then someone goes, here, go decorate it later. This decoration is not what you would have found in anything much earlier.
Okay.
The fact that the gilding is worn away on the handle shows that it's been well worn and used, but it doesn't help it with a resale value because it's worn away and you're not going to spend the money to redecorate it. I would say, and also another key thing is when it says England on it, it's post 1900.
Okay.
So you're not, and same thing with France or Made in America. You don't usually see that on anything before. You'll see a marking of some sort, by the maker, but you won't see Made in England, Made in France or such. So that's usually at 1900. So that can help prove your number without getting more specific. This teapot does not have markings on it that really help you to date exactly when it was made, but stylistically I think you're looking at probably the late 20s, early 30s.
Okay.
And I think you're probably looking in the $20 to $40 range at auction.
Okay.
Maybe at one point when the market was stronger, you were probably maybe in the $100 range, but not too much more than that.
Okay.
All right?
I didn't suspect it was too much.
There were notes in there from your grandmother?
Yeah, there's a
Is
note
that
in
provenance? Does that help it at all?
Provenance does help things generally, but given the way that the market has changed so much that it's really only blue chip things that have some sustained value, and if the provenance, if she says she served tea to Queen Victoria in this, maybe that might be, make something a little more collectible. If you think about coronation wares, all of the various different things that were collectible when Charles and Diana got married. Like, those had huge values to them at one point, but people aren't really collecting those types of things anymore. That generation has their collections, and their children aren't continuing them.
Okay.
And the children don't want to take on the possessions, unfortunately.
Right.
But yes, that's got more sentimental value to it than actual intrinsic value.
So that was it. Those were some interesting interviews, and those were some great antiques in there. Hopefully next time they have one of these, you can bring your antiques down and you can get them appraised to see what they're worth. Thank you for watching.